Coming up on 5 Minute News. January 6 panel refers criminal prosecution of Trump to DOJ. Harvey Weinstein guilty of rape in Los Angeles trial. And Supreme Court temporarily blocks lifting of Title 42 for asylum seekers. It's Tuesday, December 20. I'm Anthony Davis. The January 6 Select Committee has urged the Justice Department to bring criminal charges against the disgraced former President Donald Trump for the violent 2021 U.S. Capitol insurrection, calling for accountability for the former president and a time of reflection and reckoning. After one of the most exhaustive and aggressive congressional probes in memory, the bipartisan panel is recommending criminal charges against Trump and associates who helped him launch a wide-ranging pressure campaign to try to overturn his 2020 election loss. The panel also released a lengthy summary of its final report, with findings that Trump engaged in a multi-part conspiracy to thwart the will of the voters. At a final meeting yesterday, the committee described violations of 4 criminal statutes by Trump in both the run-up to the riot and during the insurrection itself, as it recommended the former president for prosecution to the Justice Department. Among the charges they recommended for prosecution is aiding an insurrection, an effort to hold him directly accountable for his supporters who stormed the Capitol that day. The committee also voted to refer MAGA Republican lawyer John Eastman, who devised dubious legal maneuvers aimed at keeping Trump in power, for prosecution on 2 of the same statutes as Trump: conspiracy to defraud the United States and obstructing an official proceeding. Chairman Benny Thompson said Trump broke the faith that people have when they cast ballots in a democracy, and that the criminal referrals could provide a roadmap to justice by using the committee's work. Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney, the panel's Republican vice chairwoman, said in her opening remarks that every president in American history has defended the orderly transfer of power, except one. The disgraced former Hollywood executive Harvey Weinstein was found guilty on Monday of rape at a Los Angeles trial in another Me Too moment of reckoning, 5 years after he became a magnet for the movement. After deliberating for 9 days spanning more than 2 weeks, the jury of 8 men and 4 women reached the verdict at the second criminal trial of the 70-year-old, who is 2 years into a 23-year sentence for a rape and sexual assault conviction in New York. Weinstein was found guilty on a count involving a woman known as Jane Doe 1. The jury was unable to reach a decision on several counts, notably charges involving Jennifer Siebel Newsom, the wife of California Governor Gavin Newsom. The jury reported it was unable to reach verdicts in her allegations and the allegations of another woman. A mistrial was declared on those counts. He was also acquitted of a sexual battery allegation made by another woman. Weinstein faces up to 24 years in prison when he is sentenced. It's time for the defendant's reign of terror to end, Deputy District Attorney Marlene Martinez said in the prosecution's closing argument. It's time for the kingmaker to be brought to justice. The women's stories echoed the allegations of dozens of others who have emerged since Weinstein became a Me Too lightning rod, starting with stories in the New York Times in 2017. The Supreme Court is temporarily blocking an order that would lift pandemic-era restrictions on asylum seekers, but the brief order leaves open the prospect that the restrictions in place since the coronavirus pandemic began and have been used to turn back hundreds of thousands of prospective asylum seekers could still expire on Wednesday. The order yesterday by Chief Justice John Roberts, who handles emergency matters that come from federal courts in the nation's capital, comes as conservative states are pushing to keep the limits on asylum seekers that were put in place to stem the spread of COVID-19. The states appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court in a last-ditch effort before the restrictions are set to expire tomorrow, saying that lifting the limits on asylum seekers would cause irreparable harm to their states. In the one-page order, Conservative Roberts granted a stay pending further order and asked the government to respond by 5 p.m. That's just hours before the restrictions are slated to expire on Wednesday. The order by Roberts means the high-profile case has drawn intense scrutiny at a time that the Republicans are set to take control of the House and make immigration a key issue will go down to the wire. The immigration restrictions, often referred to as Title 42, were put in place under disgraced former President Donald Trump in March 2020 and have prevented hundreds of thousands of migrants from seeking asylum in the U.S. Immigration advocates have said the use of Title 42 goes against American and international obligations to people fleeing to the U.S. to escape persecution, and they've argued that things like vaccines and treatments for the coronavirus have made the policy outdated. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.